To ban or not to ban the full Islamic veil in public? Well, that's the question that many European countries are grappling with as the unease becomes a major political issue. In Belgium, lawmakers have overwhelmingly voted to ban the wearing of the Islamic burqa in public, paving the way for the first clampdown of its kind in Europe. Here in France, the government is set to introduce a law in the coming weeks that would ban the full Islamic veil in public, but the move has sparked uproar. Controversy is also raging elsewhere in Europe over the wearing of Muslim veils and other religious garments in state or public institutions. In a moment, we'll be getting the view from Spain, but first to Italy, where police have fined a Muslim woman for wearing the burqa in public. Alexi Mascarelli now joins us live from Rome. Alexi, this is certainly a first in Italy. Tell us more about this case and what have been the reactions?
Well, it happened last Friday when this woman was walking the streets of Novara, a city in the north of the country, with her husband when they were stopped by the police and they were asked for their ID documents. And her husband provided documents and it was no problem. He's here in the country legally. Trouble came when the police officers asked to see his wife's document, and he refused for them for the policemen to identify her. And they had to call a policewoman who then took the woman into a corner and could indeed identify her. That was not the problem at the end. The problem that she was indeed wearing the full veil, the burqa, and she was fined €500 for that. And it comes because the mayor of this city from the Northern League, the anti-immigration party, a very important junior partner in Berlusconi's government, passed a local decree in January banning the veil to be worn in public. He said in public, in schools, in buses, in the post office. He says because people in Novara don't want to see people just wandering around in the burqa. And he says it's also bad for the integration of the Muslim community.
So is a nationwide ban likely then in Italy? Alexi.
The debate hasn't even started here fully, and it seems that the government itself is pretty divided on the issue. We haven't had the same debate that we've had in Belgium or in France. What the mayors taking local initiatives, especially in the north of the country, are basing the decision on is a law dating back the 1970s, when the dark years politically of Italy with terrorist attack from the left-wing groups in particular. And it's a law that bans anyone from going around the streets with their face covered. So it can be with the veil, it can be with a mask, or it can just be with a motorcycling helmet.
All right. Thank you very much, Alexi Mascarelli in Rome, for telling us about the situation in Italy concerning the full Islamic veil, of course. Now, the wearing of religious garments in state or public institution is also a hot topic in Spain. The recent decision to suspend a 16-year-old girl from a Madrid high school for refusing to take off her Islamic headscarf has sparked an unprecedented debate. It's a report by our correspondents Adeline Percept and Sarah Morris.
In just a few days, this family has found themselves in the eye of a media storm. Najwa, the 16-year-old daughter, started wearing a headscarf a month ago. Her sixth form has stopped her attending classes, saying the school rules ban students from wearing anything on their heads like a baseball cap. After 20 days of confrontation between the school and the family, this young woman has finally changed to another state school which allows headscarves.
We are still not happy with the decision of our old school, and we're also not pleased about the way it was done. The head teacher punished her by suspending her from class. We're going to take legal action because of that.
Najwa's case started a controversy in Spain on the wearing of the Islamic headscarf. We visited one of the very few schools where many young women wear a headscarf. A Muslim school financed by Libya. Teachers here are indignant about Najwa's case, arguing that Spain has never insisted on education being secular.
When you talk about removing religious symbols from public spaces, do you think that the Spaniards are going to remove military decorations which use the cross as a symbol? They'd also had to remove crosses hung up in public hospitals.
Those against the hijab range from feminists to traditional Catholics. For the first time ever in Spain, some MPs want a law banning headscarves in schools.
There is absolutely no point in allowing people who haven't been in this country for a long time to bring religious symbols into the classroom, when we have just introduced a law to remove crucifixes from the walls of our state schools.
The mosque in Najwa's neighbourhood. Here we met the Imam, the president of the Association of Young Spanish Muslims. He also wants legislation for all the country's state schools.
France, at least, has been courageous enough to decide on the question. We want to know, yes or no, does Spain want to ban headscarves at school? That way we can organize ourselves. We can eventually set up our own private schools.
Muslim schools like that run by Libya, he says. Today, 1 million Muslims live here. Many of them think it's time Spain defined its model of integration.
Well, Sarah Morris now joins us live from Madrid. Sarah, good evening to you. This case is certainly unprecedented in Spain. Tell us about the current context that this is taking place in.
It is unprecedented because until now there's been very few cultural tensions of this nature. But the context really is that Spain was a traditionally Catholic country and it's becoming more and more secular, you could say, because there's a generation of parents who went to Catholic schools, were taught by nuns, who have driven a demand for a reform here. And so within schools, there's actually a removing of religious symbols in many schools. And some critics are starting to say, well, we can't disallow some religious symbols and allow others. And on the other hand, people who do feel themselves part of Spain, who've lived here for many years, immigrant communities, are starting to express themselves in a way that perhaps they didn't do before when they were young arrivals. Immigration here in Spain is quite a new phenomenon because it's really only gone on for the last 15 years, unlike other countries.
So are there likely to be repercussions on the political level as far as this particular case is concerned?
Well, we've already seen a clear exchange of ideas on this between the socialist government and the main opposition party, the PP. The PP, which actually runs the region of Madrid and is in power in Madrid, they came out and supported this school quite strongly, saying that a school's rules should override the right to religious expression, whereas the government came out and the culture and education minister said that he felt the right to an education should be a priority, and that he pointed to the Spanish constitution, which actually protects an individual's right to religious expression. So we've already seen a war of words here. Whether that will develop into much more remains to be seen. And we'll have to watch what happens with the case that the father of Najwa has decided to take. He's decided to pursue judicial action. And I think we might see a clearer ruling, really, in relation to the Spanish constitution, and whether MPs will want to follow that up with laws will be seen afterwards.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah Morris, there live from Madrid. That's the focus on France 24. There'll be more news coming up very shortly. Stay with us.